All right. Well, hello, everyone. It is so great to be here with you again on Travel Live. Okay, I'm going to first welcome Shoshana Altricker, who is my partner in travel crime. That's how we do it. How are you, Shoshana, today?
Good, Joyce. It's very good to see you.
Yeah, we're a little nutty today because we haven't seen each other in so long and we're cooped up in this house and can't get on a plane. And Shoshana, I'm going to leave you the distinct honor of introducing our guest, who's really not a guest, he's an old friend, but tell them who's here with us.
Yes, I'm delighted to have with us this evening Don Sanford from the Peoria World Affairs Council. And Don has also previously served on the World Affairs Council of America board.
Yes, he has. And Don truly is a delightful person and probably a great travel partner. We haven't traveled together yet, Don, but I know you're a fun guy to be with, right?
I hope.
You hope, right?
He is.
Well, listen, let's start off by catching up. First of all, I want to tell you, we got some complaints, Shoshana. I got some emails from people who were not happy that we didn't continue this throughout the summer.
Oh,
They missed us. I couldn't believe it. But
wow.
we got folks who were not. They said, when are you coming back? So I said, don't worry, we just took a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
So that's the good news, that people really get some enjoyment out of this, because, we can't head out on the plane and go somewhere. But why don't you fill us in, really, Shoshana, on where things stand now? I got some bad news, but that's the way of the world these days.
Yeah, well, as of Monday, Don was actually going to leave a trip to Turkey this fall. And as of yesterday, that's no longer happening. So that's kind of how quickly things change. Now, the trip we're going to talk about today is postponed until 2022. But it's really hard, to manage right now, that things just are changing so quickly, so rapidly. We have this flexible cancellation policy that with this trip, people even had it up until 75 days before departure, which we're at, to cancel and receive a full refund. And that's kind of what happened, is that people got anxious, and then we just made a decision that we shouldn't operate this trip at this time.
Sure. Unfortunately, this Delta variant has got everybody now, thrown
Right.
for a loop here, and we just don't know. And really the bottom line is you want to keep people safe. You don't want to do
Yeah.
anything or encourage people to do anything that would result in tragedy. My heart was broken because I was supposed to lead the Rhine cruise, right? And
Yeah.
then you said, "Oh, don't worry." Shoshana says, "Don't worry, we'll put you on another one," and then that one gets
Right.
so. But again, you just have to be flexible because, frankly,
Right.
it's out of our control. It's really out of our control. So,
Yeah, and one thing I would like to share with all the viewers today is I saw your slide about the vaccination, and we've actually made a decision recently as an organization to require that our travelers be vaccinated. So that's actually a requirement on all our trips currently.
well, thank you. I'm glad because we're actually at one of the leading organizations in our area. We are out there promoting vaccinations. We're trying to get into our communities to talk to people who are vaccine hesitant and to let them understand that this is the only way we're going to get out of this mess we're in.
Right.
Is that more and more people are vaccinated. So I know there's still people who are questioning, including a lot of people in the African American community in our area. We're telling them, look, this one you can trust. Okay, this one you can trust. So, but I'm glad to see that you've taken some bold steps. And of course, our governor in Pennsylvania just took the bold step of requiring masks in schools. So, Don, let me bring you into here. How are things looking in your end? Are people being vaccinated where you are, or masked, or what's going on?
We're, as you said, our governor, believe it was Monday, that we have a mandate for inside use everywhere. He'd already done it for schools. We're in a culture war here. I'm downstate and right in the heart, and we've got a lot of misinformation, and unfortunately, we have a lot of people not vaccinated, will not get vaccinated. Don't believe it's as serious as it is, and really scared now that I hear about the Lambda variation
Yes,
might be
yes.
coming, which is why we need to get people vaccinated so we don't get a variant happening.
Absolutely, Don. You're absolutely right, and I just don't know what more we can do to try to help people understand. And this is truly not about culture. I mean, any culture should protect itself. And politics, we want Republicans and Democrats to survive this thing. We don't want anyone dying. And that's the whole truth here. So, well,
And Joyce, by the way, there is a real good site. I can't think, I'll try to send it to you, that tells you the different options, how to keep your vaccination card. I know some are saying they're going to require the actual card. There's also some photo, but this was a travel site I was on, and Shoshana probably is well aware of it, but it will help people alleviate their concerns, how to prove and not worry about losing their card necessarily, and so on.
right.
So
I put
it'll be
mine in
important.
my phone. I put
That's
a
how I-
copy of it in my phone. But Shoshana, are you seeing that around the world countries are, or travel agencies are starting to require vaccinations for travelers?
Well, that's part of it, Joyce, that some of our viewers may be aware. In the past, I've had representatives from different tour operators, and all the tour operators that we work with, that they've made decisions as companies to require proof of vaccination for the travelers. Just for camaraderie, for peace of mind, for safety, for security. It just proves to be successful when you're traveling in a group, and all our tours are small groups of individuals.
Okay, I'm just sending a word now for people that they can type in questions if they have them. So we know that we're in a special day. We're doing our part to try to encourage people to get vaccinated, because we all want to get back out there in the world. We want to travel again. We want to really just explore and have adventure. So Don, you are, no matter what, going to lead us on an adventure today over these next few minutes. And I'm excited about it because, frankly, one of my favorite countries in the world is Turkey for so many reasons.
Amen.
So let's turn it over, unless Shoshana has something else she wants to share with us, but this time at the end, we'll turn it over to Don and let him get started with our are dreaming.
No, really, and I haven't been to Turkey, so really, in my mind, the two of you, and especially Don, are the experts on this.
Great. Well, you can ask questions, Shoshana. Go ahead, Don. We're turning it over to you.
All right. Well, I've a few slides I'm going to share and talk about the trip since we have another year before. Maybe some of the folks that are watching today will be encouraged to sign up. Maybe we'll have so many we'll have to take 2 different trips, right, Shoshana?
When is the next one, Shoshana? When is the next trip slated for?
It is September 30th to October 14th, 2022.
2022. Okay, very good.
And this time we're going to make it. I just
We're
know.
gonna-
Yes.
All right. I am going to put some pictures up here if I don't totally foul this up. Let's see here, I got to find my pictures. And
There you go.
I'm always excited when you tell me well, I don't know why it's not wanting. So I may have to go to play down here.
There you go. But I see the pictures look great. and
I
think-
know it normally is supposed to, it always pops up, and I guess maybe with the share screen.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
So
We're gonna love these photos, I tell you.
yeah, as you said, Joyce, it is just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful country.
Oh, yes.
And let's see if I can do it this way.
Not only beautiful, but it's so historic. I mean, it has even biblical areas, like Ephesus and all of that. I mean, it's just an incredible place.
There's got to be some way on here.
Yeah,
I'm going to be so disappointed if I can't blow it up to the largest. I did not think we would have that problem. And I don't want the music.
Well, we can have the
so-
music. We don't mind. There we go.
Now,
Oh,
here's what I think I can do.
mhm.
I know I like the music.
Doesn't bother me. So we can talk
Yeah, I
about-
wanted to get a full size picture. I have a brand new iMac 25-inch with the latest screen, and so I'm looking at a picture right now that I'm just drooling to get back there.
Sure,
I
sure.
did like, Joyce, that your very first slide on the presentation that you did to open this had the balloons over Cappadocia,
Yes.
which I did not get to do. We got up at 4 a.m. and it was storming.
Oh, yeah.
And I was with a group of teachers for the Turkish Cultural Foundation that were there for 16 days. They immersed us, in the country, the culture, everything, history. And the second group that went the following week, they got to go up.
Oh, yeah.
So I am looking forward that the weather's going to be nice this time and get to
But
do that.
Cappadocia by itself is an amazing place, right?
Oh, well, it's on the extension.
Oh, okay.
But I tell people, it is well worth the time and money. In fact, it may ultimately be the highlight for many of them on the trip.
Absolutely.
The history. Anyway, well, I have a few slides
Okay,
just
here
to
we
show
go.
that.
Here we go.
So I know, you know me, Joyce and Shoshana, I could take 2 hours and I'll try to narrow this down.
We'll keep you reined in. Don't worry.
Yeah, as Joyce knows, if you've been to Turkey, the history is remarkable, almost from the beginning of time through the culture, the changing beauty. It just offers so many things that is different than other places. And I've been to Iceland and New Zealand as a photographer. I mean, that's 2 countries I love. I still put Turkey, though, as the all around. I've been to a little over 40 countries. It's still sitting up there with just a fascination.
I
We
agree. I
We
agree.
will be doing a Bosphorus cruise in Istanbul. And Istanbul, I love because finally getting to be there physically, I felt like I was maybe James Bond. But it wasn't From Russia with Love. But I understand the intrigue, the charm of the city. You've got Asia on the city on one side of the Bosphorus. You're in Europe in the other, and you do feel almost like you're the center of everything. and almost the center of the civilizations and cultures. And there are so many different people. But this picture shows you also the newer part of Istanbul, which you will see. And we're actually, if we stay in the same hotel, Shoshana, we'll be in a little bit of the newer part, but right within walking distance of many of the historic places, and actually getting down to some of the palaces that are along here.
What hotel are you staying in? Do you know?
I had it written down somewhere here.
The Hilton Istanbul.
Okay,
Yeah.
Hilton Istanbul. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just centrally located, just gorgeous. But I think you can see from this picture, you'll be seeing all kinds of gorgeous places, palaces that have been left intact. In fact, a lot of the Russian oil billionaires and rich people have actually bought along the Bosphorus, and I can see why once you've been there then. And let's see if we can get to the next one here. And I thought this was going to let me do this, but it usually does. So we may have
And
to.
when I was there last, which was before COVID and frankly before Erdogan came to power, they were booming economically as well. I mean,
Yes. And you know what? I think this isn't going to let me go to the next one unless I click on all of them, Joyce.
uh-oh. Well, we're going to do what it takes to see these photos. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this
Right.
is, I think if I do shift, now is it going to make me, it usually, let me see if I can go down here and do this. There we go.
Should be a way to.
And maybe this is going to let me do it. I hope this time then. I apologize to our
We're
audience
patient. No, we're patient. They're seeing the pretty pictures. So
with the
here we go.
with the new computer. This is usually pretty easy for me to do. There we go.
Okay.
Now I hope hopefully no more snafus. We'll be also going to Sultanate Square, and this is the
Sultan
area.
Ahmed, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this is the area, the Hagia Sophia, and it is stunning. Erdogan has made it into a mosque, but I haven't heard anything too much because of COVID, Shoshana, but I think it hasn't been too difficult to let the tourist in. But if they are having a service, they don't. And because we're going to be there around 4 days, I think we probably, if it were closed one, we'll just adjust the schedule, because this is a don't miss.
Oh, absolutely. This used to be a cathedral, Saint Sophia. Agia means saint in Greek, Hagia Sophia church. But yes, and it was for a long time kept as simply a tourist attraction, as a museum. But Erdogan has changed it and made it a mosque. Yeah.
And architecturally, it's one of the great architectural. Anybody that studies it, any of our audience that has studied architecture, this is always right up there. And the renovations inside, which they were doing when I were there, and I've seen pictures since, so that's why I don't have a full shot, because they're scaffolding on the left side all the way up. It is just stunning. My mouth dropped open when I walked in, so it is a must see. And next to it is the Blue Mosque. And I will say these two pictures of the overhead, that happened to be the hotel I was staying in from the top. So I had a nice view.
Was that the Hilton then? That wasn't the Hilton there.
No,
right?
it was actually a very small kind of boutique hotel. And we were right off of the Hippodrome.
Not the Yeshalev.
And
That's where I would always stay, at the Yeshalev, which is like little townhouses that have been,
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
like Victorian townhouses. They're beautiful.
Oh, it was a great location.
Okay.
And of course, you go in any of these mosques, the Iznik tiles. I mean, the color is just stunning. They're architectural wonders in and of themselves. So I think any of our travelers that go with us or go to Turkey, I mean, these are just some of the highlights that I think you can appreciate the workmanship that certainly goes on. And then the Hippodrome, which of course during Roman times was the chariot races, the activity. In fact, they had different teams, and fans would cheer for their teams. And I know it's shocking, but they would actually get in fights with each other, and they had their own hooligans. And we're not talking about football, or as some refer to it, soccer. The similarities are kind of shocking when you study the history. It has kind of fallen away, and all you have left is these monuments were there during the times of the Apostle Paul. I mean, we're really going back in history here, and it really is kind of a neat little area. A little bit of it is left on the side, but for ones who travel with me, I actually have photos of the architectural renderings of what it looked like, and it is real stunning. So as we're traveling, you can kind of get an idea what it's like. The walls, of course, of Istanbul were quite famous, and especially when they were attacked, and with the cannons, were a lot of damage were done to it. But there are parts of the wall that stayed intact, and there are other parts that have been restored that you see here. And they've also put these areas into gardens, as would have been used during that time as well, to show you kind of how it would have looked during the Byzantine era.
Yeah, and I would encourage that those who are thinking of a trip to Turkey to do a little history, do a little reading of some of this, to know, because this was once the heart of Christianity, right? This was a Christian citadel there, and it was simply, subjected to siege after siege after siege until it fell. It fell to Muslim armies. So
I did for our Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at Bradley University, which is 50 years of age and older. I had a class of about 50 that we did this winter on Zoom, but biblical sites in Turkey, which I used, and people were just stunned. I think most of the New Testament is actually located in what is today modern Turkey, Asia Minor at that time, because of the apostles and everything. So yes, you're traveling on very much a Christian journey when you travel through much of Turkey as well. And I think a lot of people just don't really realize that. We will be going to both bazaars in Istanbul. We'll be going to the Grand Bazaar, and we'll try to make sure that you don't get lost. And so make sure you bring something to mark where you and won't be kicked over, because that place is easy. If you've been there, Joyce, it's a very easy place to get lost in.
And it's hard to see it all.
Really don't even try unless you're staying on your own for several days. But the one that I like and is easier to get through, and at least when I was there was not as touristy, is the Egyptian, or sometimes called the Silk Bazaar.
Yes.
And these pictures demonstrate just how colorful, any of these bazaars are. And of course, I can't, now that I have been diagnosed as lightly, if there is such a thing, diabetic, but oh man. Yes.
No candy though. No candy. No Turkish.
More than Turkish delights. There is. Oh my! The food in Turkey is very fresh. You feel, except when you're going by a place like this, that you're eating very healthy when you're there.
Very true. And yogurt with many of the meals with the meat. We always love the yogurt. Yeah.
Yes, and they talk about the Turkish coffee. Well, even the Turks, I noticed, with the thick one, would be putting hot water in it. And our guide told us not to drink the Raka, because he said, if you haven't drunk it before, you will not be able to handle it.
Right.
Yeah, this is apparently a very hard liquor. Well, I'm not a drinker, so I did, but one of our group did at the end, and she only had half a glass, and we had to carry her back. So
now that's funny.
We will take care of you. Won't have to worry. Topkapi Palace. Here's the model of it, and we will be taking a tour all the way through this area. It's stunning. This is the Imperial, I'm sorry, get my stuff right here. This is the Divan, which is where visitors would be brought to. And there's a little grate up above. The Sultan would oftentimes be back behind there so he could listen in and watch to hear before they would come and see the Sultan then. So yes, it's quite fascinating to learn more about the Ottoman Empire and the sultans. It was so powerful. I think as Americans we're taught about it, but we don't know a lot of the details, and it's fascinating. An interesting area, I think, for Western cultures is the harem. And we will be visiting it. And the Imperial Hall is where performances would be put on in the harem. And this is the Sultan's throne where he would watch everything then. But it's gorgeous.
The thing is that the harem was really a world unto itself. I mean,
Oh.
women ruled there, and it was a lot of women who were there, it seemed, and they had their own organization, their own hierarchy, their own government. So really
Yes.
interesting. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And like I said, this is a topic, Joyce, that you and I, again,
Oh,
could
yeah.
do
Yeah.
hours on end. But that's why we tell people to go to Turkey.
Yeah.
The story, and it's not boring. It is
No.
fascinating history.
Oh,
I know the teachers I was with who had even been immersed in a lot of this stuff kept going, wow. Your mouth kept dropping because there was more, and then actually seeing what you've studied too. Here's another picture of the Bosphorus, straight ahead, and to your right is the Golden Horn. And this view from the palace is, I think, kind of nice because it goes back to the attack and the fall of Byzantine Istanbul. This was one of the key places, and on the Golden Horn, the chain, which is actually in, I believe, Galata Tower, the old iron chain they would draw across so that the ships could not get in there without permission.
Well,
So
they would
again,
exact the tribute. You had to pay.
yes.
Yeah, tax. Yeah.
But this channel is obviously very important because that's in and out of the Black Sea.
Yep.
And so it's a strategic location as well. And for Russia, a very, very important location.
Yep.
So now we're gonna quickly travel through some of the other areas. I will mention I'm excited. It'll be the first time I've been to Gallipoli and Troy. And this trip is going to have that as well. That'll be fascinating. We'll be staying all night at Assos, which is a extremely famous port city during Roman times, and the Apostle Paul passed through there a lot. And we have a beautiful hotel. We're staying there right down on the water. So yes, the historic places. But here we are at Pergamum, and no picture can do justice. I mean, I've got hundreds of pictures, Joyce.
I know you do.
But yeah, actually might be thousands to think of it. But this location is just stunning. And the theater there, I just found it incredible. Now, if you're, heights give you a problem, and my wife, they do. So I don't think she'll be joining me here, but looking down, and you think of a play going on down there, and then there is a valley and a hill to the left there. It is just stunning. And once again, there's elements of Revelations here. Again, we don't have time, but we can go through a lot of the Bible just in this one location here as well. So I can't wait for the group that I'll be traveling with to see this location. They'll be stunned. I had to throw this in because I've always been fascinated, thinking I would never, ever be at any one of the 7 wonders of the world. It doesn't look as dramatic, but this is the location in the remnants of the Temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the world. And unfortunately, the stones were all taken away, to be used for building in other areas. But it still was exciting for me to see the recreations of what a dramatic building it was, but knowing that's the spot, and that's right near Ephesus. And so we'll be very close, seeing quite a few things in that particular area.
See, this is something that I think people just don't realize how, I mean, we talk about the history, but it's just, I mean, it's Greek history, it's ancient history, there's a lot of Jewish history there. Jewish philosophers came and contributed to the culture. I mean, it's just such a melange of just incredible ancient history and modern history too. Yeah.
Well, and I forgot to mention before we go to Ephesus, where we're staying a couple nights is Izmir, which is in fact Smyrna. And Smyrna was the gateway for many Christians. In fact, they would land there, work their way across Turkey and down into Israel.
Right.
And I was reading the book on my trip over, Michael Oren's book about the Middle East and, really the Christianity and U.S. connections and so on. And I was just really not aware of just how important Smyrna and all of these locations were for our history as well.
Right.
And the oldest continually run university is by Americans, founded by Americans, I'm sorry, is Roberts University in Istanbul. Now it has a different name that I can't pronounce now. I think 4 prime ministers have come out of there, but that was started in 1863 by Christian missionaries. And we visited it on our trip. So, so once again, the connections to Christian history just are never ending in this particular country. We will be going to Cerinth, which is kind of up the road, I guess you would say, from Ephesus. This was a Greek village. And they had, you may remember the year, Joyce, but they had a repatriation act. And so any Greeks that lived in Turkey were forced to go back to Greece, and Turks that lived in Greece were forced to go back to Turkey. And so they didn't exactly exchange villages, but this then went from a Greek village to Turks living within it. But it has then that Greek kind of nature, a different architecture that you would find. It was fascinating.
Well, and much of this was Greece. I mean, as I lived in Greece for 2 years, and so they still haven't given up the fact that that's their land as they see it.
Well, and you also know, Joyce, especially with your background and the places you've been, in so many of these countries, there weren't really borders for them. Whether it be tribes or groups of people, they just moved to areas. And so you had different people who simply moved, and then they became a problem for those governments later, how to get rid of them. And we still have that problem today, going on. So it's like this part of our history, unfortunately, never ends. Now, here's something I think some of our audience will like. There's always shoppers in our group. And so, yes, you have the bazaars, but Cerinth had, I think our group felt some of the best shopping. In fact, I got one of the most comfortable shirts I've ever had here in this particular location. And it just kind of caught everybody off guard because this wasn't what you're kind of thinking going. And the prices were much better than in Istanbul.
I'm sure.
Since then, Cerinth has become much more popular on the tourist trail. So I'm not expecting the prices to be as good. But we had a great meal there. I think this will be a surprise highlight also for those who travel with us. Ephesus is probably the most famous because cruise ships, I mean, everybody stops in at Ephesus. And we had to change our trip from the morning because a cruise ship came in and seemed like 100 and some buses went past on the way. So we went to Cerinth first and came back in the afternoon. And you notice we don't fight the crowds. And that's the nice thing. As Shoshana knows, the travel companies that we use as well are very good to work with us. I know on the trips that I've led on behalf of the Philadelphia Council, they have been wonderful to work with. Say, let's just change this up because this has happened today to make your travel as enjoyable as they can. And so I cannot, recommend the Philadelphia Council and the travel companies that they use high enough. This is the main street. And of course, the library is the one down at the bottom there that you always see the facade of it. And we'll just learn a fascinating history while we're there. The theater has been restored. It was one of the largest in the area of the Roman cities, and they do concerts there to this day. So they were actually setting up for one that evening, which unfortunately we weren't able to stay for. But it is again, and since I've been there, more and more of it's been uncovered and restored, and some tiles and homes will be incredible to see. Try to hurry here, Konya. This is on the extension. Now, before I do extension, when we leave Ephesus, we'll also be going. It's the rite of passage when you go to Turkey. We will be going to a carpet factory.
You have
to. I, the travel director, the tour guide, can help guide you on prices a little bit. I made sure I became a bit knowledgeable before I went. And on ours, we made sure, because they wanted to make sure that we had a good experience in Turkey. We said, we want to go somewhere we're not going to get ripped off.
Right.
And we actually went to one in the Cappadocia area, and they talked about the young girls that they're able to hire and come in and weave. And I think they said at that time, they were the only place that actually had some carpets woven by men.
Really?
And those men
Oh.
were in the nearby prison.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And they made a good point. It says it takes tremendous patience. And when you see them working, it takes tremendous patience, a lot of time to make these. That's why they're so expensive. So the men would have their names on it and their cell number as well. So who knows what we might find at ours. We'll be in a different.
But honestly, I mean, I bought a lot of carpets from Turkey, and you still will get a bargain buying from Turkey. I mean, if you're with people who are, careful, and you're going to reputable places, the cost of a beautiful, and Turkish carpets are among the most prized Oriental carpets. So they're right up there at the top. So you cannot go to Turkey and not, even if it's a small one, not come back with one of these exquisite, because they're works of art. They just are. And I must have about 6 or 7 of them thrown throughout my house. They're just wonderful.
You got me beat. I think I've got 4.
Oh, so, no, I've got a lot of carpets. They're even hanging from the banisters, the railings in my house.
I have a silk one because on this try I actually got a silk one.
There you go. That's good. Yeah.
And I will say that again, compliments to Shoshana and the company she works with. Their reputations are so outstanding that they're not going to take you somewhere you get ripped off.
Exactly.
You're by yourself in Turkey. Unless you've educated yourself before you go, I would not buy a Turkish carpet or anything for that matter, because there are plenty of places that will rip you off.
Yeah.
But where we're going to go.
It's doing your due diligence, but as you point out, that's what Shoshana and the company do. They do all that hard work for you, so you can feel relaxed that you're going to be taken care of.
But you're right; they are works of art. They last forever, and definitely not only hold their value, but they go up. So
they go up.
If you're interested, they're worth the investment. We'll then also be going along the southern coast, and we will do a. And you may have to help me, Joyce. I think I butcher this all the time. The gulats, the small ships, and that will be, I've not had that experience. I'm looking forward to that. I've always read about it, saw the pictures. And so we'll be spending 3-4 nights, I think, on the water, and then going in and out of coves and seeing Ionian ruins that you can only see from those locations.
Yeah.
And we will finish up. Some will do a hike, and others can stay on the boat if they like. But the Baths of Cleopatra.
Oh,
it's always nice to have a boyfriend that builds these big, wonderful baths for you. And so that I think will be a treat again for our travelers as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll finish the regular part of the trip at Antalya, which is another place I've been dreaming of going to on the southern coast. And it is the museum, the location, the history. It is one of the more famous, and they have probably the second best museum. Ankara it's considered the best for the some of the old antiquities. And Antalya has the kind of the second rated, but still one of the highest rated anywhere in the world. I believe, yeah, I looked on here, we go to Perge, which is another famous Roman city. It's another one that was always on my list. You can't, get to everything. Turkey's a big country, and we mosey through the middle part. So it'll be a wonderful spot. But if you do the extension, Konya, you'll see Melvani, which is better known as Rumi, and as a philosopher, religious leader, and the whirling dervishes come from this. And so the tomb and museum here, and our hotel is actually just right almost next to it here. And Konya is a fascinating city because it is considered to be one of the most conservative cities in all of Turkey. And I saw some of the most liberal behavior in all of Turkey in Konya. They have rock concerts. They had just opened a big brand new shopping mall. Young people were laying on the grass in the big circle that they have there near a university and cuddling. And that's, again, the fascinating thing of going to Turkey. You are seeing these blends, like me here in Central Illinois, with kind of a blend of viewpoints and behavior. We can kind of see it all, regardless if one is kind of considered to be the major one then. And
I'd just like to chime in and add that we always talk about in these, aside from all these wonderful sites that you'll be seeing, we'll of course have our council briefings that we add to the itinerary. So we'll either be going to the U.S. Embassy in Istanbul or the consulate in Antalya. And we also have a meeting with a journalist during the tour. And of course, you'll have your local Turkish guide traveling with you the entire time. And we have a really fabulous guide who's, gets like top reviews. And, you have your access to him the entire time.
yes, that's a great point, Shoshana. That's one of the things I've most enjoyed, is especially the embassy and consulate. And we may say U.S. Embassy Consulate in Istanbul, that building is gigantic. I mean, it's bigger than many countries' embassies. So I've been to the one in Ankara because that is the capital. But and it's always neat to actually, if you can, get into these facilities as well. They have great art collections in them. But yeah, the journalists, that's the real bonus that you don't get on a regular trip. Kind of an insider's briefing. So great point. We're going to finish with Cappadocia. And so it is on the extension, but I think you'll see why I recommend that you spend the extra 5 days. It is a fairyland. We've got some places, but there are these places around the world, and this is one of them that you really have to see, hopefully, in your lifetime. And you have underground cities, and many of these were some of the very first Christian communities that existed. They're dug. Some of them are 4-6 levels deep. There are, I believe, 2 or 3 major underground cities. We'll visit one of them. And then there are the rock cutouts. Go back here, which are in other areas. And these, Joyce, I think are particularly fascinating because these are also the sites of some of the most beautiful churches. Yes. And because many of them were inside dark areas, either completely sheltered or were kept from the sun, at least even if it was open on one side, the colors.
Yes.
It's like walking into some of the churches, the basilicas, some of the paintings. It's just remarkable to see the artwork. And I'm sure you've been there. Do you want to comment on that, Joyce?
Just what you're saying. And I'll tell you, the other thing that I think they should know is that I think Cappadocia was used as a site for one of these movies, the Star Wars movies or some of that.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. No, frankly, of all the places, there's another place called Meteora in Greece, not far from, I mean, in this part of the world, that has the stunning geography that you see it nowhere else in the world. That's why this is such a must see. If you can spare the time, you won't be disappointed by Cappadocia.
And you get to go up in them. We go down, into the underground city. We all felt like little kids running through the tunnels. you,
Yep.
you become young at heart.
In some of these caves that they have there are tables that are etched out of the rock where they thought people had actually sat and eaten. So it's fabulous.
I almost put that picture in, Joyce.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I had it in and I took it out because I said I got too many slides.
Well, you have a lot, but they're all worth it. I mean, they really are.
And so, yes, and I'll finish with, and again, the landscape is gorgeous. You can see why a hot air balloon ride over these is at sun up is just breathtaking. And the evil eye, you won't have to worry. We will protect you from the evil eye. And that is also a great souvenir to bring back as well from what will be some incredible memories. I haven't talked to anybody that hasn't been to Turkey. I'm sure they're out there, but I haven't talked to them that this hasn't been just one of the highlights of all their travels. So thanks for the opportunity to share.
Well, thank you. You were a wonderful Zoom tour guide. Thank you. That's all we can do now. But really, I mean, I think you have really brought into sharp relief what a fabulous trip this will be when we're able to get there again. And again, you talked about the shopping. Everybody likes to shop, but there's a lot of good gold shopping there.
Yes, I left that. I leave out so much stuff. Yes, that I'm giving you, I think, a lot, and I still haven't touched. Yeah. And so, Shoshana, you're going to have to get there. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, Shoshana, you would truly.
And Joyce and I would love to tag along with you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I love Turkey so much that at one point I was hoping to do, even for our own council, a once a year trip. But, for reasons we can't go into, that's not possible right now. But for our viewers, if you can figure out a way to view this country and this region. And as you pointed out, Don, most people think of Istanbul and Ankara is also worth visiting. I mean, the capital, trust me, yeah. That complex there, the whole capital is worth seeing.
Well, Joyce, we went to Misa, which is, it's a gorgeous place to kind of more up towards the Black Sea. And I saw, I conquered, of course, is a famous phrase by Caesar. He said it there.
Yeah.
And so, again, back to the history. Also, we went to Sivas and Tokat, out to the little bit farther east. They were so excited to see tourists. This is only a portion of the country that's worth visiting.
And you're right, there are places in Turkey that, frankly, tourists don't get to. That's just uncharted kind of territory that's worth seeing. Along the coast there is really beautiful. And one of my board members actually is from Antalya. I mean, Antakya, yeah. But yes, yeah. And so, the fact that there's so much history there, that is just another thing that just makes it so much more exciting. It just comes, alive for you,
Well, unfortunately, we can't get everything on our tour itinerary, but Iznik Tiles is made in Iznik. But Iznik is probably better known to many of us as Nicaea.
Yes.
And two councils, the first council of Nicaea met there, and there's a little bit of the ruins left sticking above the lake there, right. That they have. And our guide mentioned that, and I stopped the bus and jumped out to get it. Again, was some place I never thought I would be, studying that in the Bible. I've taught it in Sunday school classes, and here you are where all of this history took place. And then we also went and watched modern day Iznik tiles being made by hand. And you then appreciate what you saw in the mosque, in the churches up in Istanbul, because they're handmade. They take a while and they're expensive, but I got a small one. They're just gorgeous. So Yeah, Bursa, I mean, yes,
Yeah, Bursa, you got.
the Black Sea area we haven't talked about.
Well, yeah, and there are two places before we head out, we just have to mention. One was, I mean, that's where allegedly, at least legend has it, if not that Mary died. You know, you go.
Yes, at Ephesus. I don't believe we go on this one, Shoshana, but yes, I've been to the house of the Virgin Mary.
Yes, and that's
yes, because John brought her. We do know historically he did bring her to Ephesus there. And then in front of the theater there is where Paul took on selling the idols of the Temple of Artemis. So you're standing in the spot, and then there's a place where they believe Paul's shop was as well. So yes, you kind of get goosebumps for anybody who's connected, strongly with Christianity. Yeah.
And then I remember, because I would drive all around these places too, and then the first church, apparently John the Baptist's first church was apparently.
Yes.
It's like, oh my
I know.
goodness, you drive by and there are ruins of it. There are actual ruins of it that you can see. So it truly, Shoshana, this is one of your best. This is one of the best. Tell us about the company before we go, about the company that's actually leading this. And as you can see, dear viewers, the kind of people who get excited about travel and who really delve into issues is what one of the benefits of traveling with the World Affairs Council.
Yeah, so this trip will be on Odyssey's Unlimited tour. And one thing that Odyssey's does compared to some other operators, they offer a fully packaged price where, for a pretty reasonable rate, airfare is included out of your gateway city. So that's really nice just to, have that, all managed for you.
Well, great. Don, you've done a fantastic job. Thank you.
Joyce, I will mention on the price. I was stunned. I think this is one of the best values that Shoshana has found for us.
What is the price? What is the price?
Shoshana.
The 2021 price started at $5,000. That's, for a 14-day tour, including airfare.
That's good.
Prices might go up slightly for 2022, but really, there's not going to be a huge price jump.
And where we're staying too, 5-star hotels, basically.
And for what you're seeing, everything that you're seeing. So yeah, that's really, really, really good. Well, look, we can only hope. Look, once again, we want to tell folks, with all love and kindness and consideration and respect, please get vaccinated. If you get vaccinated, we may be able to resume this kind of global adventure. And nobody wants that to happen more than the 3 people that are facing you now, right? So with that, I am simply going to say, Shoshana, what are we looking at next time? And next month, we're doing this again now. I
think one of your other favorite places, South Africa.
Oh yeah,
I love that too. I was just there a year and a half ago. Yeah, just before we couldn't travel.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, South Africa will be another great one. That's a lot of history too, a lot of beautiful sites. But that's why we want to get back into the world.
Yes.
So
with that, I want to thank Shoshana, my partner in travel crime.
Thank you, Joyce, and thank you, Don. This was so nice to do again. That I missed it as well. So I'm looking forward to continuing this series.
Well, thanks to both of you, and it's just wonderful to actually see you on a screen again, and hopefully see you at the national conference.
Yes,
we can only hope. But we'll talk some more. And for now, have a great, great, great day and weekend. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.